This is Mari Robeson of Love Lulu Creative, a podcast that supports and celebrates artists and creative entrepreneurs while giving back to the community in a unique and meaningful way. This is episode number 34, and it is also the month of February, the month of love, and I cannot think of a better way to celebrate the month of love than with married artist couple Christy Kinard and Jon Davenport. They're both incredible artists, very different, but also very alike in their use of color and just, you guys, this is such a fun story. He is from London, she is from the South, and how they meet in Venice, Italy. It's such a cute story, and fall in love, move to America. And actually, after Christy lived in London for a little while, and her story is so interesting about her, what she was doing and learning as an artist in London, bring it all way back here to the United States, where they have a thriving career. They talk about their galleries, and it's just such a good episode. You guys are really going to like this one. And now they've also launched a whole new collaboration together. They've got Kinard Studio, where they are taking all of their art and they're putting it on home decor products, even leggings, really beautiful stuff. I'm so excited to share this episode with you, and I know you're really going to like it. And if you are liking these episodes, please subscribe to the channel. It's such a simple thing to do, and please share them with your creative friends, anyone who is interested in being an artist or creative and doing that as a full-time job. These episodes are so valuable and so helpful. All of these amazing artists are sharing how they are doing it and having a thriving career in the arts. So please share them with your friends, and please enjoy this really fun episode with the very talented Christy Kinard and Jon Davenport. Hi, Jon. Hi, Christy. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast today. This is my first time ever having a married artist couple on, and I can't think of a more appropriate month to feature you than the month of February, the month of love. So I'm very excited to hear your story of how you met and your whole creative journey separately as well as together. So this is going to be really, really fun. Thank you for joining me today.
Pleasure to be here, yes.
I'm so excited to be here, yes.
So I definitely recognize an accent with you, Jon, but I also recognize a little bit of an accent with you, Christy. Are you also from the UK?
No, I'm actually from the South. I grew up right outside Chattanooga, Atlanta. So I might have lost a little bit of the accent from living abroad. But
so let's
Jon sometimes sounds a little Southern too, so we have a good mixture going on.
You're going around confusing everybody.
Yes, we definitely confuse our children with it, yes. I think they confuse their teacher as well. So
It's so cute. So how many children do you have? How old are they?
We have 3 boys. We've got 2 twin boys, which are almost 9, and then almost 10, sorry, and then we have an 11-year-old boy as well. So
oh,
we have a 10-year-old turning 11 in June, so they're almost
about 18 months apart.
18 months apart.
I did the same thing. I have 3 girls, and they're
wow.
the younger ones are 15 months apart.
So we never have to have a play date.
It's comes in handy.
It really does.
Yeah.
But we love to have friends, but I mean, they help each other out, so it's good. They're great little guys.
Oh, that's really, really fun. Well, this is a really special time with them. That age is just so fun.
It is.
Okay, so you are from Christy from Atlanta, and then where are you from, Jon?
I grew up in Ipswich, which is on the east coast of the UK, and then spent most of my life in London, going to university there and working there before I ended up moving over here in 2004, where I married Christy.
Okay, so what kind of work were you doing? What kind of degree did you get when you were in London?
Well, originally I had a biology degree, and then I left university and ended up just doing some part-time work at my local newspaper, and I gradually sort of segued into doing like design and graphics and web design and things like that, and eventually I started my own company and moved it to London, where it was I was doing advertising for sort of big clients like Nike and Tony Blair and Richard Branson and things like that. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was really when web and websites became real popular. So he was in that advertising part where, new websites were popping up.
Where they still look really bad.
Right.
Rebranding people and doing that kind of work. And his work just really took off all over London and in the UK. And I was dating him at the time, and I was just so impressed with their work. They did.
So what brought you from Atlanta? What brought you over to London then?
I met Jon in Venice, Italy.
Oh, good. Can we get any more romantic?
And it was on a whim. I was with a friend from Switzerland, and I was young. I must have been like 23. And I just loved to travel. And it was after 9/11, and the airline tickets were inexpensive, and I would be like there'd be 5 people on the plane. So I just traveled to anybody I knew in Europe. I just go see. And me and this friend decided we'd go to get the cheapest train ticket we could from Lucerne, and it happened to be to Venice, where I kept running into my husband, Jon. But
what do you mean you kept running into him? Like you ran into him multiple times?
Yes, we would. We would. At first, we were eating at a cafe, and we were right outside of what bridge is that?
The Bridge of Sighs, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wow. So we were out of the cafe, and they started playing the banjo and making fun of our Southern accent, because I don't think they've ever really heard a Southern accent before. And so they were calling us names and just having a good old British laugh, and we got mad at them. And we went home that night, and we kept running into every water taxi. In Venice is small, so we were there in the off season. So we kept meeting them on taxis, and they were just being British boys and just drinking a little bit,
being a bit rude and having some fun. Yeah.
And anyway, we ended up in St. Marcus Square, where they have just really made us so mad. And they came up and said, "We really apologize. We love Americans, and we would love to take you out to dinner. Will you please let us treat you to dinner?" And so we did. And I lost my wallet in the canal. Thank goodness my passport wasn't there. But Jon lent me money to get back to Switzerland. And so we had like a year relationship on snail mail. And finally we decided.
I hope you saved those letters.
You know what? I hope I did too. I need to look for them, but it's just so funny. So, there's the days when you would write a letter and then you'd wait for the next day for somebody to respond.
That's right.
It was the good old days.
If they were a week late reply, you didn't worry about it.
Exactly.
Exactly. So we carried on that way, and then we decided it would be a good idea to meet, and we hit it off. It was just kind of fate. Mm-hmm. And now we're here, happily married with 3 precious boys, and we're both artists.
That's so great. I love the story so much. It's so fun. So after your vacation in Venice, did you decide to close your successful business and move to America because of her?
No, Christy came and lived with me in London for on and off for like 3 years or so, and then 4 years, wasn't it?
Kinard Studio.
And then she painted in London while I was working there. We lived in Brighton, all over the place, and she had a great time.
That's the nice thing about being an artist, is you can kind of go anywhere.
I actually worked with some international artists, and I really got inspired there. It was really a great time in my life, and actually watching Jon's business was so interesting. I learned so much in London. We had a couple of years just right in central London near his office off Gate Street in Holborn, and it was a lovely time. So glad we got to experience that.
So did you get to collaborate with other artists when you were there? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so I had our studio, and I guess there are about 40 other artists there. It's near Wimbledon. It took me about 2 hours to get there on train. I'd pack up my, this is just a long story, but I was so determined to be in a gallery in London that I packed my stuff up every day in my backpack, and I walked about probably 5 miles and took the train. I mean, it was a 2-hour journey, because at that point, when I started off, we were living in St. Albans. So St. Albans, is that right? Yeah. So, so I made a big effort to go to the studio with other artists, and I had a collaboration. I didn't have an art collaboration, but we shared each other's ideas, and I got to see a lot of international artists and how they worked, and it was a really growth spurt for me. And I was near the Tate Modern, and I visited as many museums as I could. I mean, really being in Europe, I just really took advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. It was quite funny in the studio in Wimbledon where she was painting, because I mean all the other artists were all mostly British artists, and they were there just slogging away, just being a proper artist and not worrying about the money, trying just painting whatever they came into their head. And in Christy's sort of turn, I said, "Oh yeah, I've sold paintings all over the place. I've sold paintings to IBM, blah 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 blah." And they were like, "What? You sell paintings?"
Actually,
that is not a proper
concept.
Actually, I had an art director come to see me, and she was from Florida, and she picked up a few artists there, and I think it was just a complete eye opener to them, because in England there's just not, at that point in time, the economy wasn't great, and people weren't buying the work like they didn't have the extra income to buy artwork like you do in the States. We really are privileged to be able to collect art here.
Mm-hmm. So let me go back just a little bit. Christy, did you study art in Atlanta? Or?
I had a scholarship to SCAD, and then I went to Atlanta College of Art. And while I was at Atlanta College of Art, I started selling my work to interior decorators there. And then I was so persistent. I would not take no for an answer. I would do paintings from college and just like pack them up in my car, and I would drive all around the Southeast. And at that point, I would not actually walk into galleries with my work and say, "Will you take me?" And I would not take no for an answer. I know you cannot do that now. Now you have the internet and all that. But when I started, like in 97, I guess, I mean, I would not stop. So IBM ended up buying a series of work, and I think those were around 98. And then I had Spanx buy some work, and had Dr. Nancy Snyderman buy work. I just started building, I got lucky. It's not lucky. I just was fearless in pursuing what I wanted to do.
And you practiced your craft, and you were really good at what you were selling. So it was kind of an easy sell when you have practiced.
Right. And then I moved to England, and I realized that did not happen as much in England. And that was just, it does at some level, but at the what do you call it, at the starting level, at the
you either, if it's not really a starting level.
You
get a grant or something, and
you
suddenly
usually
you're
get a grant
stuff,
in England, and you can do what you want,
and suddenly you're in the Tate Modern doing some huge installation or something.
Or I know artists now that are established and now getting invited to London or New York. So it's just, there's not really a market for emerging artists. So that's what I was at that point.
This is just fascinating. Just as you were learning while you were over in London, you were also probably sharing some helpful information to all those other artists about how they could move forward with selling their work as well.
And at that point, no one really had a website. And that's when I became lucky, because my husband designed them.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, she had a bit of an eye-opening thing for them, because you were being American as well was a little bit of a barrier, wasn't it, as well? That was during the Gulf War, and they weren't very
Yeah, they weren't very friendly to me at first, but I just kept going. I ended up meeting some really dear friends, and in England, a lot of people are very reserved and making friends and I'm just kind of all out there. I'm just like, hey, how are you? I'm so American. I'm just, so American. They didn't know what to do with me. I think I got on their nerves really bad at first. But
was that studio predominantly men or women, or was it?
It was everything. Yeah, everybody.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, it was, and there was some beautiful work. I mean, there was just some really beautiful work, and I couldn't believe that they weren't selling it really. But as I was saying, it just isn't the kind of market that we have here in the U.S. I think that it is becoming that, though. I think that
especially with the Instagram,
and we didn't have all the Instagram and all that stuff, but John actually started a company while he was doing everything in London for artist websites, and he started building a lot of art websites for artists. It didn't go off well
because the artists had no money.
The artists had no money, so no one could really pay them. So that was just kind of a learning experience. But we did try to get some. What would it be? It'd be more. It was, I don't know, what was it called? I can't even remember.
Build My Gallery.
Build My Gallery. BuildMyGallery.com. And so we kept that for a couple of years, but as I said,
and harass people.
We really, it was just when the web was just taking off, and all this new technology with Instagram and Facebook and all that is such an incredible opportunity for people that are beginning.
I agree. It's also it kind of like hit a really great peak, and then I feel like it's kind of plateaued out a little bit for me. I've noticed just it's still a great platform, but it just changed a little bit when Facebook brought Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. My Instagram likes were like 500 and stuff.
Yeah.
Like now I'm getting like 200. I don't understand.
Well, you look, if you have the business profile, you're like, oh, well, they showed it to 300 people.
Yeah, they showed it to like 9,000 people, but like 300 liked it. It doesn't make sense.
Oh, well, no, on the business profile, it will show like I have a few thousand followers, but they'll only show it to like 300 people. So
really?
Unless you pay,
that's right, yeah.
Pay to post, you have to pay to be seen, kind of a situation. So
right.
Anyway, that's not important right now. So I'm just so kind of fascinated about this collaborative that you went over and walked 5 miles and then got on the train. Why did you choose to do that as opposed to just painting there in your London apartment or the apartment that you were staying in?
Well, the apartment I was staying in was about the size of
size of a bathroom.
So our kitchen was was actually in a pantry.
Kitchen was in the cupboard, and the washing machine was in the other cupboard.
Yeah,
yeah.
We've lived several places. They were all very expensive, but the most expensive one was living right off Holborn, and it was just really incredibly expensive for us at that time. Even though John was doing well, it was expensive, and I did try to sometimes paint out of the house, but it was so hard sometimes I have to get away. I have to get away from my environment. Right now I'm painting, I'm in Hilton Head Island, and it's beautiful here. And I'm painting on the porch, and it's really nice. And I can do that. I have the beautiful sun, and on rainy days I rest, and it's kind of nice.
Wow. That sounds nice. Okay, so I kind of understand the backgrounds of both of you. So you decided, when was the leap of faith to go, we're going to leave London and we're going to go to America? What made that happen?
I think when we decided to get married, I think Christy wanted to get married in Atlanta, in the Georgian terrace, like Gone with the Wind, and and the sort of, I just ended up just sort of selling my share in the company and freelancing back for them over here. And actually the freelance became less and less and gradually turned over to more art-based stuff. And then basically
Well,
almost
I'll tell
full-time
you the
art now.
story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the overnight success of Jon. So Jon was freelancing, and we had a studio in the basement. We had a really nice big studio
This
separate
is
from the
after
house.
you're married?
Yes, after we're
Okay.
married.
Okay.
So our studio is about probably 3,000 square feet. He has
Wow.
half of it for his business, and the other half was me painting. And he came in one day and said, "You know what? I'm going to try to paint." And I called my sister, who's also an artist, and we laughed at him.
Oh.
No, it's because she had like a crazy studio floor with a paint all over it, and I wanted some art for my office,
Oh, yeah.
so and I took some photos of her floor because it's just crazy, and I put them on Photoshop, put them out big on the printer, stuck them together, and I showed it to Christy, and then she's like, "Oh, you almost like be a painting."
Like an abstract paint. It was so beautiful.
Huh.
I used some of the background photography and even my paintings, but Jon really uses it in his. So he came to me and said, I'm going to try to do this painting. And we kind of giggled. I didn't giggle in front of him. We just kind of giggled, me and my sister. And the next day, he brings in this painting, and it is incredible. It's because he had so much training in advertising. He did a painting of a Coca-Cola bottle, and he mixed it with the background floor, and it was absolutely like gallery worthy. And so I knew some people in Atlanta that might want to carry his work, and they absolutely did that. And it just his work just keeps evolving. I mean, he just got picked up in a gallery in New York, and he's doing really well. But he really he had many years of training in advertising, but the paintings for him just became natural because he had such a good sense of color and design and placement. And a lot of people, what do you want to say? Composition. That's what I'm trying to say. Composition. And that just all came real natural to him. So, and then he knew had watched me do. So in London, I started collaging my work because I went to a lot of really famous, amazing paper stores and fabric stores, and that's where I started really collaging my work. And so he kind of started doing a little bit of that too, but he has his own process he can tell you about.
Yeah, you can see, Jon, in your work, that graphic design background for sure definitely comes through in your. I was trying to figure out how you create those. I can see it's some collage work and it's some digital work, but are you actually painting the imagery of like the Coca-Cola bottle or Audrey Hepburn, or is that a digital manipulation?
A bit of everything, yeah. So, I mean, sometimes it's just a straight photo I'll print out and stick down on a board, or sometimes I'll. But
you always manipulate it.
Yeah, I mean,
you make it your own.
I'll merge like a magazine's worth of text to it on the computer, then print it out on top of that, and it's basically sort of doing layers and building them up with the clear glue I use, and sometimes I'll add some painting.
Glue. That's amazing.
It's called Mod Podge, isn't it?
Mod Podge. Yeah.
And I mean that dries clear, and it doesn't mess about with the ink. So if you've got a photocopy, you can put a photocopy in it. It doesn't take the ink off. It doesn't spread it around. It's pretty. You can rely on it pretty well. And it's just building up the layers, and eventually you just do some more paint on top if you want. Or I've been using spray paint recently, and some stencils as well to get an extra sort of effect.
It's so cool. I love it so much. It's really, really cool. And Christy, your work is gorgeous too. And you do some collage work as well, it seems. What are you painting in oil or acrylic, or what's your process?
I do a ton of collage work. So if you get close to my work, I mean, people just kind of want to touch it. I just use layers and layers of paper, and I do a lot of my studio floor, and I incorporate that into the background. And then also I fell in love with spray paint. I cut my own stencils. My work's just evolved, but yeah, definitely just layers and layers and layers of different kinds of paper. I used to use a lot of material. I don't use as much material anymore because I can find such cool paper online. And I used to spend hours at the fabric store, and that was kind of a distraction. I could really just stay all day in a fabric store. I love to look at different textures and fabric, but no, it's just layering the paint, and the floral is really my centerpiece, but it's just infused really so I can get all I'm really a colorist. I just really use the floral setting as my muse, so I can get all my paint and everything I want to out there. And flowers work so well because they're so colorful, and it just is really easy to do that for me.
So do you, are you both working in the same studio now? Is that like, what's a typical day like for you both working?
We'll have days where we're both in there, and we'll have to cross. We have to take a piece of chalk and cross the line. So one person we can't go over each other's line. I'm not kidding.
I know, because you have like your certain paints that you're working with, and then he comes over and he takes one. You're like, wait, that's like my color story. Like, I need that back.
We actually do tend to use when there's a certain sort of colours on the table being used, they tend to get used at the same time.
And if we are working together, our colors. So we've done a couple of shows together, and the paintings look beautiful because they all just the show just flowed with the color palettes. But
I was going to ask you that if you guys have showed together.
Yeah, we had a group show at Shane Gallery in Charlotte that carries both of our work, and that was one of my favorite shows. I think the paintings just really stood out. I think people are intimidated to ask a husband and wife to do a show together. I think they think there's competition there, but I love it. I think it all comes from the same place. So.
And I think your work is totally different.
It's totally different.
It's totally different, but they do complement. You can see that you're on the same, it's the same vibration.
Yes. Well, you're pretty easy to do a show with. You've worked with your sister and things like that before.
So I've done shows with my sister.
Oh, that's fun too.
Yeah. So anyway, I like to collaborate that way.
Yeah.
And I know other artists that are couples that do not get along.
I have never met an artist couple. You're my first. This is really very interesting. Yeah. So you have another collaboration out right now. You guys have started deconstructing your artwork and putting it onto product, which is beautiful. So how did that all come about?
I wanted to just do something a little bit different together. And I know a lot of interior decorators, and I thought it would just be a beautiful line to start rugs and pillows. And we even do these cool leggings. I know it's strange to do leggings, but they are so cool. They're the neat. I get stopped. I wear them out just to do grocery shopping. I get stopped in my tracks, and they're like, "Where did you get this?" Because they will have my paper collage on them, and it'll have like zigzags, and they'll have splashes of paint, and it'll have. I mean, it's something like you've never seen before. And the pillows, some of are conservative with our original paintings, and then we've deconstructed some to be really abstract. And we just came out with a line of rugs that are gorgeous. And they were inspired this coming up to the new year for 2020, and they're inspired by the roaring 20s. Sorry, I have a hard time saying that. So we have the Gatsby rug, the Manhattan. What else? We have the playoff 1920s. So, and they're fine. They are actually washable. They've been a hit. And the product line's endless. I mean, we could do wallpaper. We could go into just about anything. We try to kind of limit what we're doing, but it's been a very successful 2 months starting the business. It's been exciting. on a rainy day when we can't work outside our outside studio, we are creating new products for that line.
I think this is so great. And I think that's kind of my favorite part of the age that we're in right now, is that there are so many opportunities to take artwork and put it on product, and just see it in a different life form is always really exciting.
You can definitely take it to the next level. And, people that can't afford the work, they are happy. They love being able to buy a pillow, or they love, we're not selling prints now, but I mean, they love to be able to buy a product with a painting on it.
We get so many requests. I love your art or whatever, and I can't wait till I can afford to buy one of your paintings, whatever. But now at least everyone gets a chance to get a piece of the action, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it's brilliant. I think it's a great thing. I think all artists should be taking a look at that. Obviously, it can be very overwhelming too, because you can put it on so many different products. But it is nice if you can pick a lane and focus on things that have meaning to you, like you said, the rugs. And it makes sense. You're kind of in an interior design capital where you are, so it makes sense that you would use home decor products. And
that's right. Really, I know we've done a bit of the strange thing with the leggings and some sportswear, but they just.
I don't think that's strange at all. I mean, I'm in California. That's what we live in.
I mean, we do in Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta people live in Lululemon.
Yeah, exactly.
But these leggings are so fun. I mean, and they're made from an artist. So we've sold a ton of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
They're one of a kind. I mean, you cannot find anything, because we have actually taken pieces of our paintings, and the pieces that we love, like the drips that we love, or the collage that came together that was beautiful. We've taken pieces of that and made it into our own fabric. So, it's absolutely one of a kind.
It's so good. People buy art.
Yes, people buy art.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's special.
We've been very lucky.
So speaking of buying art, where I noticed, Jon, you have some work on Artsy and Saatchi, which is pretty impressive to have your artwork there. Are you there as well, Christy?
I used to believe that it was the more galleries you're in, the better. So what is that, quantity over quality? In the last few years, I have pulled back to 3 galleries, and it's 3 galleries that really sell my work. And that's Shane Gallery in Charlotte, Parker Gallery in St. Simon's Island, Georgia, and it's close to Sea Island. They have a great market there. And then I'm right here in Hilton Head in Old Town Bluffton, which is so cool. So neat. So many people from Charleston and all over kind of the low country. And it's called Red Piano Gallery, and it's been in business for over 50 years. And this is a funny story about it. When I was a little girl, I used to vacation here in Hilton Head my whole life. And so really all my life I wanted to be an artist. And I'd drive by that gallery when it was having receptions thinking, one day I'm going to have my work in there. I really am. And
I love it.
So 3 different stages of my art career, I applied and I got rejected. And, I went in like the crazy person I told you I used to be. Driven. So this gallery has like really museum quality artists. I mean, these, some of their paintings are as much as a car, but and then there's me. But that was really a dream of mine, and I got rejected 3 times, and I moved to Hilton Head, and I said, I'm gonna just try it. I'm gonna just put it out there. I'm gonna see if they accept me. And Ben Whiteside called me back and said, we'd really love to try your work. He didn't remember all my craziness of probably coming in there and dragging all my work in. But they're lovely people. It's a beautiful gallery. They still have the old red piano. It's a really famous gallery, and they do real well. And Jon has a handful of galleries. He does. But in when I was starting out, I used to think it was more, how many galleries can I be in, and how can I, be all over the country? And you know what? It didn't serve me, because I couldn't keep up with making everyone happy. So I have really taken it down to 3 or 4 galleries, and I can supply them with work, and I can give them a show, and I really think that's my comfort space. I think that's a sweet spot.
Are you selling any of your paintings online?
Yeah, I sell Instagram. I sell work on Instagram.
Oh, I see.
All the time. And so if they're not in one of the states that I'm represented in, then that sale goes to me. If they are from, South Carolina or I always honor the state that the gallery's in, because they do a lot for me. So it's kind of a trade-off. Then it works wonderful. And we have a great personal relation. Well, not personal, but a great business relationship. And it really,
so for those who don't really understand, that's basically that territory is you are honoring the fact that they're selling your artwork there because they are doing so much to promote your work in that state. So you don't want to compete with that by selling.
I wouldn't want to make them mad. No.
Right.
No, they make a lot of money.
Most people wouldn't really know that. That's why I just wanted to clarify that a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you have a contract with each gallery.
I have a contract. They promote my work in magazines. They do a lot for me. They're out there hustling for me. And if they weren't, I would not have them on my gallery list.
So, and Jon, I think I actually found you from the gallery in New York that you're showing, and I believe I follow them. That's where I saw your work. Are you in any other galleries than the one in New York? And
yes,
we'll list all of these in the show notes too, so people.
Okay, cool. So up in Boston, show at Jules Place, show in Charlotte with Christy at Shane Gallery, showed in Charleston, Traeger Gallery. Plus I've got probably a couple of other ones going on as well. But yeah, it changes. Sort of gradually move galleries sometimes. Sometimes galleries are just don't work out very well, and you have to sort of move on to the next one or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm really pleased with my current ones at the moment. They're all doing pretty good. So
I do sell at Jill's Place as well. So I forgot to say that.
Yes, we sort of been in a few places. We've been in Atlanta in various galleries together and things like that as well. So.
And then there's a part of the art market that I think that can become over flooded with artists, and I think that can be a problem. So I pulled away from a lot of just cities that are just completely over flooded with artists. So I've really handpicked my galleries, and I'm so happy I've done it. And this has been over the past 2 years. It's just been it's been so nice. It's been a relief.
Yeah, it's been nice to be in some galleries where they actually, you're not just one of 50 or whatever. Because I mean, some galleries have been in, it's like your work's always in the back and never gets shown.
It's shown once a year.
Yeah.
And so I picked galleries that can really have a relationship, and we communicate and we talk, and it makes such a difference.
So do you, wow, this is a lot. Do you also do any kind of shows, just, group shows or anything like that? Or is all the work that you're basically creating going to the particular galleries that you're signed with, and then you also have the model of the product that you're selling? Is there any other way that you're selling your art? Are you doing any collective group shows or?
I send out, we have a so to people that are starting out.
Okay, let's go there. Let's go to the advice question, because I think you've been giving a ton of really good advice. And I do want to ask that question for someone who is starting out and they are considering in fact, one of my scholarship recipients, she wants to study fine arts. And so, what would be the wisest things that you've learned over the past few years of how they can pursue actually being able to make a living creating art?
My favorite quote is, "What would you do if you were not afraid?" So I think that is a big deal. I think that you can go beyond what you think that you are possible of doing. I wake up in the morning and it is a challenge sometimes to create something better than I did the next day, but I have to have a really positive attitude, keep a positive attitude, keep your determination. Start an email list. I don't care how you start an Instagram, start Facebook, start already making an email list. Look online, figure out how to do it. Start with your friends, because it will grow. And as your artwork grows, even if you develop into doing something completely else, something completely different. I have people that have followed my work for 22 years because I've had an email list. And so that email list has grown and grown and grown and grown. So, I can send out an email and it goes to people, that used to live in Atlanta, and they've moved to a different state, and they share it with their friends. And, start an email list, start social media. Do not be afraid. Just start. Start Pinterest, start Etsy, share your thoughts, do a blog. Don't back down. Keep going.
I really like your story too about like going to the gallery multiple times, and then the fact that you, I think for a lot of artists, rejection is super scary. Like when you say don't do anything, go face your fear basically and just do it anyway. But that's super scary if you don't have an outgoing personality to keep going in and going, hey, I got new work. Hey, I got new work.
Listen, I went in, and I must have been 18, and I was, probably crazy. I just would like to be a fly on the wall watching that, because they would tell me, oh, the curator's not here. You need to leave, come back. You need to send slides. I said, no, I have driven all this way. You're going to look at my work. And they did, and I would get accepted sometimes, and I would get rejected sometimes. But don't ever let fear stop you from what you want to do. I mean, honestly, if you do that in a gallery now, they really get upset with you.
Right. So what is the appropriate way to approach a gallery now?
Start following the gallery. Go to the gallery. Look at what they are showing. See if your work is a fit. A lot of galleries offer. They do, like, sometimes twice a year. They invite new artists. Always submit. There's tons of galleries that do that. Submit your work to that. Submit your work to the up and coming artist show that they have in the summers, and sometimes they have them in January. Find as many galleries as you can do that to, and send your website. Have a good presence isn't always the best thing, but have a decent looking website with at least 10 pieces of art that are ready to be hung on the wall and sold. That's what you need. Mm-hmm. Present that. Present as much stuff as you can of what you've learned or any kind of education you've had through art. Even if it's you showed at a coffee shop, it doesn't matter. Everything is something. Do not be afraid to put it down on paper or on your website. And if you get rejected, don't quit. Keep going. Don't let fear get in your way.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Listen to Christy, because I worked out. How about John? Do you have anything to add to that?
I think one of my favorite tips I had when I was starting out was, because when you're starting out, you're trying to develop a style, and sometimes it's quite hard to get a sort of an idea of where you're trying to go, even hard for other people to see and hard for even yourself to see. But when you're doing a batch of work, always do try something different. Try a new thing you're going to do on one painting. Try just to experiment, and not trying to get a sale out of that painting, perhaps, but just for your own sort of curiosity, maybe for your own sanity, just do a little bit different and tweak stuff and try and make it evolve.
It's interesting because I did say go in the gallery and look at what they're doing, but I'll have to say I got into Parker Gallery in St. Simons, and I called them. I said, what kind of color palettes do you like? What kind of what are you selling? What you know what they told me? They said, we don't go there with our artists. You create. We love your work. You create what you want and leave all that behind. And so I remember that day I went into my studio and I said, you know what? I'm gonna do something straight from my heart. I'm gonna put all those voices out, paint this or paint that, or this color works, or paint more like this gallery wants. And I just painted for myself, and those are the most beautiful pieces I make.
Yeah,
I think I really align with that. I know in my interior design world, when I get to do projects that are where there's like free reign, just do what you want to do, I'm always super colorful, and I do things that most are definitely not on trend, but everybody will resonate with it, because when you do color right, it speaks powerfully. And I think that that's the same type of thing that you're saying. Like, artists need to stay with what speaks true to their selves, because when you do, it just explodes off the canvas, and and it's real and it's good and it's beautiful. And it's hard. It's when you try to put yourself in that little box over there where you're like, meh.
Yeah, it's totally getting rid of all that fear. If you can get rid of all that fear and be free, your work will be amazing.
I agree. I love it. Well, thank you guys. This has just been so fun. I'm super excited to have you on for February. This is such a great, you're both just absolutely delightful. And I just really appreciate you taking the time to share with us. I thank you so much.
We loved it. I love this. I'm glad that you're doing this for our other artists. This is really helpful. I wish I had some advice from some seasoned artists when I was starting out.
I know. And, and everybody, I've talked to so many now, and everyone has kind of a different way. So that's really interesting too. It's like, it doesn't have to be one set path that you follow. Like, just, again, staying true to yourself, and you're going to find a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for picking us.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. Yeah, definitely.
Yay. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you've liked this podcast and you'd like to support it even more, you can join me over on patreon.com/Mari Robeson and become a patron of mine. If you're a patron of mine, you'll receive bonus episodes every month, only for patrons. You'll also receive 20% off all the merchandise in my online shop, marirobeson.bigcartel, and you will be receiving free printables every month that will be of my artwork, and they're some really fun things. You can follow along on Instagram and you can see what I'm creating just for my patrons. I would deeply appreciate it. It would help me keep the lights on, and it would help me pay all the fees that it takes to put together a podcast like this, so that I can keep supporting all the artists, keep bringing you great information, keep paying it forward to the next generation of artists. It's just a wonderful thing, and I would really deeply appreciate your support.